Hello there and welcome. We are into the series of National APC Support Center. This is one of the support groups for the emergence of Ashiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu the Gaban, as we are hopeful that he will be Nigeria's next president. And that is one of the assignments of this group, like I did say, National APC Support Center. We are having this in series on this network, and we want to believe that you want to join us and have a nice time as we go ahead. It will be an opportunity for you to know the man, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It will be an opportunity for you to know a lot of things that need to be put in place. It will be an opportunity for you to know about the acronym of the 5 major points of the gentleman Tinubu PCA in the areas of security, in the areas of power generation, economic sector, and so on and so forth. Well, in this edition of the program, I have joining me the women leader of the National APC Support Center, Irene Ebiere Ajua Musa. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Now, first of all, let's go this way. You are as a woman. What does National APC Support Center have for women? How are you treating the women? I am asking this question because Nigerian politicians, they have this idea of when it is time to mobilize for voting, we remember the women. But by the time we are in, the women will now be begging us for positions. I want to know the way you are handling the issues of women, because you are there to represent the interests of women.
Yes.
What do you have for women?
It's interesting enough. Our principal, uh, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is very gender friendly. You can tell from the fact that he's disposed to women in power by putting his own wife, through the Senate after he himself had gone through the Senate. So, giving a woman position has not been something difficult for him. And he values women. You can see his family has, his mother was the Yoloja of Lagos, his daughter, and giving them valuable position. His deputy was a woman, if you recall.
Yeah. Buckler.
Yes, his deputy was a woman. So he's not ashamed to recognize the role of women in power. You can imagine, he believes strongly from all his actions while he was governor of Lagos State. He believed strongly that empowering a woman means that you're empowering the children. You take care of a woman, you empower her, her children will be taken care of. And that is why he focuses on empowering women, even his own wife. So there's how many governors in Nigeria have pushed their wife through the Senate after they themselves have been senators?
Senate.
That is unprecedented. So we have to give him an accolade for that. As a woman, I'm not intimidated to say that women will play a very relevant role in 2023. They're going to play a very relevant role in occupying offices. If we have someone who is in power, who can make a woman his deputy when he was governor, I don't see any position that would be too much for any woman to occupy while he comes into office. And the fact that he has records already placed in place for women who uh, are educating women, taking care of them through their health care system. Because you take care of a woman, she's able to take care of her children and her husband. Ensuring that they have access to food. The role of his mother when she was ideologia was very charitable to the women of Lagos State. Imagine duplicating that as a nation called Nigeria. In a nation called Nigeria. So it's going to be an interesting ride as far as I'm concerned.
Great. All right, let's talk about economy,
Mm.
because that one is very, very important in Nigeria's history. In present day Nigeria, the economy is in shambles.
Mm.
And the gentleman coming in will have to work assiduously to
Mm.
put the economy in shape.
Mm.
How are you people so sure that Tinubu will be able to do this before you stick your neck into it that yes, Jagaban must be the man?
Okay. If you recall, I like to make references because it's better to
Yes,
always
please,
state
please.
facts. If you recall, when he was governor in Lagos, the revenue of Lagos State was seized, and he championed the fact that they have to internally generate revenues.
Yeah.
He championed that, and it's a testament to him because it's still continuing to today. Whether federal government gives an allocation or not, Lagos State is able to run on its own.
And that started from him.
And that started from him. Transportation system, if you remember, the BTR started under him, the construction
Yeah.
of the BTR lane. It's a vision. The importation of some of the vehicles, he brought them, some of them, and with having foreign investors invest. If you recall, even the toll gates of Lagos, he brought in investors. You know, he's a wonderful person in the fact that he's able to, uh, how will I put it? He's is able to charm people. Even with the Lagos state going through, I recall at the time, the foreign investors through the Lagos Chamber of Commerce were coming in during his period, during his tenure. If you recall, MTN came during his time.
Okay.
Yes, he accommodated them in Lagos. Chicken Republic, if you recall. Even when revenue was not that's the state's allocated revenue was not available to them, he was still able to woo in investors. So that's a testament to the man called Tinubu.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, I grew up in Lagos,
Mm.
and I know we have lots and lots of terrible young men.
Mm.
We have them, they call them Agbero,
Mm.
they call them Omota,
Mm.
different. And
Mm.
these miscreants are in Lagos.
Mm.
And when I was basically staying in Lagos, I discovered that the man was able to curb them.
Mm.
And the way he curved them was like maybe romancing them. I don't know how he just did it.
Yeah.
Now, Nigeria is a ledger society. Maybe he was able to do this because Lagos was a small entity. Do you think this can be replicated nationwide? Now
Ah,
you are talking about the Fulanis, Hausa, Igbo, Kanuri, Ibibios.
it's interesting, during the time when uh, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a governor, he used the miscreants to generate revenues in the
Oh,
market.
really?
Oh yes, in the marketplaces, motor parks. He used them instead of them being miscreants, snatching purses,
Yeah.
snatching people's phones, and removing tires from vehicle. He called them and gave them gainful employment, put them in uniform. From the LASMA to the market authorities that's stopping. If you recall, Oshodi and
Yeah.
what's the major market of Lagos, international
Mushin.
market, Mushin, and all that. He was able to use them to curb the miscreants, them so to speak. Gave most of them employment, and the ones that refused the employment were put in check of their behaviors by their fellow. Because if you recall, at the time, the police and the military were not so respected because there was a lot of uh, confrontation between the two. So he found it wise to take these people, give them employment, put them in uniform, and let them put things in order. If you recall, before he came into government, there was a lot of armed robbery and things. So he even started the state's own police, that's security outfits, to guard against robbery and all the miscreants, by using the people themselves, cleaning up their act, training them, and making sure they generate revenue for Lagos State, since they were not given allocation from the federal government. So that is his strength.
Right, we are in the series of National APC Support Center. From time to time, they'll be coming on to bring issues and personalities from different parts of the country. We will be going nationwide, and from Kano State, we come to Oyo State. From Oyo State, we go to Enugu State, to go to Kogi State, different parts of the country, and we'll be addressing issues of gender inequality, economy, power generation, security, and so on and so forth. This edition, I have as my guest the National APC Support Center Women Leader, Irene Ebere Ajua Musa. So far, we have talked about economy and revenue. She has spoken brilliantly well about even using miscreants to generate revenue and to protect different infrastructural facilities, women and children, and we're still going ahead. She's a mother, and I know she will be so passionate when we talk about illness. Uh, Opponents of Tinubu, they are saying that the man cannot go the hog. This is not an assignment for him. As a matter of fact, somebody who said his friend, that's Alhaji Rabi Musa Kwakwaso, even said, "My friend Tinubu, go and sit down, because by the time campaign starts, you cannot cope." You think he can cope?
It's interesting enough. The current president, who is now in office,
Yeah.
everybody thought he'll kick the bucket within weeks of his ascending to the office. But here we are, 8 years later, or 7 years later, almost just a couple of months to his finishing of two tenors
Yes.
under his watch, so to speak. So it's interesting to say that a well calculated, an astute man who has served as a senator and as a governor, and who has what it takes to ensure that our country moves forward, security wise and otherwise, will now kick the bucket when he assumes the office. That's not true. Yes, he's much older than he was when he was governor.
Yeah, yeah.
But being old does not mean that it's a death sentence. So I would like Nigerians to assume that this man who has been tried and tested, holding the realms of affairs of our country, will certainly do much better. Now that he's older and wiser, he will do much better than when he was governor. They should go and take they should be confident in that. That, with age comes wisdom, so to speak. So let us champion that, because he has been tried and tested. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The issue, there are so many issues that we cannot even trash here. You are actually telling us that we should just relax, that everything will be in order.
Yes.
Now, there is proliferation of whether support centers or support. As a matter of fact, this is the first time I'm hearing of a center. Others are groups, clubs, societies. Now, don't you think there might be an explosion with this proliferation of support groups? Tinubu support groups, Tinubu this, Tinubu that. And don't you think everybody should just come under one umbrella?
You see, they say one finger cannot wash its hand, the entire hand. A finger cannot wash the entire hand. So all the groups are being monitored by the DG campaigns. But the reason why we are a national APC support center is that other groups tend to be collapsed into us, because we're a center, we're receptive, we collect anybody that is willing to work with us in order for it's a common cause, and we're not threatened or ashamed of that. So we are happy to have other groups collapse into us and we work together collectively. I don't see that as a proliferation. We need the different groups. Our focus is perhaps on just the supporters of APC and growing it as a group. That's our core focus with the National APC Support Center. Yes.
What plans will you want Jagaban to have for the youths? Because you people, of course, you have some roles to play, and part of your role should be advisory. I have discovered that youths, they carry placards, they are vibrant, they jump here and there, but some are complaining that by the time they are in there, they just make them to be YouTube managers, to Twitter, you handle this and that. What plans do you have for the youths?
Yes, it's interesting that you're saying this again because the fact of the matter is that Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a very robust plans for the youth, in the sense that education is key. An ignorant youth will generate much problems for the country and the state, which is the current situation. I think we can attest to that right now. But the fact of the matter is that when he was governor, I keep referring to that.
Yeah.
The people that he gave gainful employments and opportunities were youths. The so-called uneducated dropouts, and the society has dubbed them miscreants. He gave them gainful employment. If you can give someone that did not see the four walls of school employment, do you think he will not focus on those who are exposed and have gone through the walls of university? He certainly would do that. Now, also, if you recall, during his time in office, the banking sector thrived in Lagos State because we had a lot of youth gainfully employed and were well paid within the banking sector. And other private companies like Cadbury, Schlumberger, all companies, he would have meetings with them. I remember during the time there was a forum called the NPF, National, with a collaboration with the United Nations,
Okay.
UNDP. And he was able to facilitate that during that for the purpose of addressing key issues within the youth sector, and especially gainful employment and education, university.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Right. I really want to thank you for being with us on this edition of the program, another in the series of National APC Support Center. There is one question I would have asked you, but along the line as we were discussing, I got an information that the man in charge of persons living with disabilities is around. So I will just reserve that question for the gentleman. Thank you very much, Madam, for coming onto the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Irene Ebiere Ajua Musa is the women leader for National APC Support Center. Just before we wind up the program, I will bring in the gentleman who is coming to talk briefly on the activities towards giving good living to people living with disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is a new beginning, a renewal of our hope and dreams, that from henceforth our people shall be governed not by arbitrary rule of the jackboot, but by the rules debated and agreed to by their own elected representatives and government.
Yeah, welcome back. As I did say, we are in the series of programs as put together by National APC Support Center. And after having the women leader, Irene Ebiere Ajua Musa, I now have joining me for the remaining part of the program the gentleman in charge of the people living with disabilities. This is striking about the center, and that is all aspects of human endeavor you can think of are being taken care of. They have people specifically assigned to the areas of education, of health, of environment, people living with disabilities, women, youths, and so on and so forth. So now I have Mohammed Magana Nagoa, the gentleman in charge of people living with disabilities. And when we say that he is in charge of that, we want to know from him exactly what does that mean? What does he do? So Mohammed, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now please tell us, what do you do? How do you define that role?
Yes, we're thanking the APC government because since we have been doing the exercise for long, the APC government that one that put the people with disability in this government, in this politics. So since that time, I've been a state leader before. So the later on, I've been the zonal officer. So now, as we're doing our things, by that time when I was in the state leader, we have a lot of things that we create like by that time for the people with disability, because we create from the ward and unit and local government people with disability.
Okay.
So after that, there's a lot of things that we made to create to the people with disability, so that they should have something doing by themselves. So to forget about the begging for the maid or for the other things. And we did that. We called them and give them the exercising to monitor their lead activities for them, so that all of them to be happy for this policy that way.
When you were handling that in the state,
Yeah.
what problems will you say you encountered? Which, if you now meet such problems, because this is on national level
Yeah,
now, how do you intend to face such problems?
I can know how to handle it.
What are some of the problems you face
problem
that time?
that I faced in that time, our people, they fail to understand some our group. So if you bring them closer, they will understand more, because some of them, they need education betterly. Some of them, they don't want education. They want to get handwork. So that if you give them those things, it will make them happy, even their family, that they came from their family. Then they'll be happy that their children, they have something doing for their life, so that their life will be better forever. Because some, they are leaving us that we are not somebody that we are recognizing in this nation. So as I'm seeing it, by that time, you can't say because of your condition, you just left yourself and other things like that. You may create something for yourself that you may show the people that they have leg, you will be in the same shoe with them. So our people, they love one things. If you call them nearby you, they will be answerable to you, so that they will be getting what they want in this their life. Because the only thing, most of our people, they don't have education, is because of the neglect they don't have. For them, Nigeria is not considered people with disability like this. So that's the only thing. When I was in the state leader before, I went to see the governor, our governor, to talk to him that he should give us more education and other things, so that my people, they should have something doing by themselves. So that time, there's one time the federal government give us about 1,250 for our state. So I create 50-50 to each local government, so they should have something that each one, they will be giving person 60,000. I create it, and I got 150. They give them each 60,000, and all of them now, if you go to them now, so I will be happy that everyone that has something they're doing.
Very good. Well, we won't take more than that, because we only want you to talk about that area, and you have, within the short period, been able to tell us that one of your primary assignments is to make sure that your principal Bola Ahmed Tinubu, gets involved in aggressive gainful employment exercise. that once your people are gainfully employed, I mean, their problems are
No
solved.
problem, yes.
Fantastic. And he has told us that his own operation is Operation No More Neglect. No more neglect for people living with disabilities. Mohammed Magana Nagua, thank you very much for coming onto the program. And that will be all on this edition of the program, the series of National APC Support Center. We had two guests today, Irene Eberia Jua Musa, the women leader, and of course, Mohammed Magana Nagua, who is in charge of people living with disabilities. In subsequent editions of the program, we'll be bringing you different personalities from different states, all from the series of National APC Support Center. I am Ojon Bello. Bye for now.